Most parents are wary of the so-called heavy metal music.
Hi, Pauliano here. You're going to be watching the new releases coming up soon, motherfuckers.
Notez sur vos tablettes les nouvelles sorties discographiques ou les toutes prochaines à venir. Le 6 novembre prochain, l'Olympia accueille un plateau exceptionnel réunissant Blackstone Cherry et Ayron Jones, ainsi que Storm Orchestra. Une première pour ces trois groupes en ce lieu mythique du spectacle parisien, mais une saveur supplémentaire pour Ayron Jones qui, comme chacun sait, est originaire de Seattle. Il revient sur les traces de Jimi Hendrix, guitariste qu'il adule, et autres natifs de la ville de l'État de Washington, qui s'y était produit en 1966 en première partie de Johnny Hallyday, puis en 1967 en tête d'affiche et en 1968 pour 2 shows le même jour. Depuis, en dehors d'Alice in Chains en 2019, aucun illustre représentant de la ville du grunge n'a foulé du pied la scène du boulevard des Capucines. Avant cette date, METALXS s'est rendu sur les terres d'Ayron. Nous avions rendez-vous au Greenwood Memorial Park, situé à Renton, dans la banlieue sud-est de Seattle, à proximité de son domicile. Une stèle où repose Hendrix a été érigée en la mémoire du guitariste, lieu de pèlerinage pour les fans du monde entier qui viennent s'y recueillir par milliers chaque année. Ce jour-là, c'est plutôt calme et nous en profitons pour discuter sur place avec Ayron de cette proximité, pas uniquement artistique, avec la légende.
I think for me it was retroactive, you know, it was that like you're growing up in a city, you're a kid, and to be honest, you may not even know the true history of the city. You just know that there's like a mural of Hendrix over here, and there are cats that know him and have talked about him and speak about this legend, you know. And but for me, it was really when I started digging the guitar, it all led back to Hendrix, you know. And then you find out not only is, you know, he from your city, but he's from your neighborhood. And not only is he from your neighborhood, but you know people that are family members of his, and you know cats that own bars and you know that have been around town for a long time that are part of that community. I say this all the time, is that people talk about Hendrix as this guitar hero, you know. They talk about him as this legendary figure in the rock diaspora, you know, but I think that for us growing up in Seattle, especially black kids who are looking to play rock and roll and get into guitar, you know, he was a member of your community. He was a person from your neighborhood. He was someone that, like, he was your local hero. He wasn't just a guitar hero, your local hero. And his inspiration to this music scene, it goes beyond even just, you know, you think about the rock world, just not the rock world of the 60s and 70s and beyond. It goes beyond that, man. I mean, look at grunge. What would grunge be without Jimi's influence on Seattle? I don't think we would have grunge, and not the way we do now. If you think about grunge, I think about grunge music as being a reinterpretation of blues and rock. You know, it's really what it is. You know, you got these cats that are really, I mean, listen to Jerry Cantrell, to Mike McCready, you know, to Kim Thale. All these cats are Hendrixian guitar players, because this cat, he was the hero, you know. And so I always keep that in mind. I always keep that in mind, man. And so for me as a young adult, not even just a young adult, but as a teenager growing up, it was figuring out what that really meant to me, you know. And little did I know in that time, you know, because I didn't really get to meet the Hendrixes until I was like 21, 22 years old, you know. I didn't get to meet them till that point, and it all came full circle. Now I know. Now I know. It's like Jimi's been with me since the beginning, you know.
Experience Hendrix. Music's greats perform the music of Jimi Hendrix together live. Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Christone Kingfish Ingram, Eric Johnson, Zach Wilde, Samantha Fish, Dweezil Zappa, Taj Mahal, plus special guests performing the music of Jimi Hendrix, including Little Wing, Fire.
En septembre, Ayron a participé à la tournée nord-américaine Experience Hendrix. Il nous raconte, eh bien, cette expérience, justement.
I felt extremely intimidated and nervous to be surrounded, you know, even with all the accolades that I've accomplished thus far, you know, number ones and hits around the world. I'm still standing side by side with cats like Zach Wilde, Eric Johnson, and Stanley Jordan, you know, and like, those are legendary guitar players. So at first it was very intimidating to be there, but once I settled in, I kind of realized that not only did was I blessed to be there, but I deserved to be there. You know, I've worked really hard as a guitar player and a musician to allow myself that kind of opportunity. And, you know, a lot of that came about because, you know, obviously my relationship with the Hendrix plays a big role in that, but the timing, I was ready, you know, I was ready. I mean, like, they didn't do that tour. 2019 was the last time they did that tour. The pandemic came around in 2020, and they hadn't done it for about 4 or 5 years at that point. And so in that time, you know, I'd grown as an artist. I mean, obviously I've been on the radar of the Hendrixes since I've been playing guitar, you know, since I was playing guitar as an adult. But, you know, just for them to keep their eye on me and just to see what I'd been up to and to know that I was ready, you know. I mean, after a while, after you get over the intimidation factor and all, like, the nerves, man, it just felt good to be there, you know. And I learned a lot just being around those cats, you know, as a guitar player, but just as a person.
Experience Hendrix. Music's greats perform the music of Jimi Hendrix together live.
We had Stone Free, I had Wind Cries Mary, and I also had Red House and Them Changes from the Live at the Fillmore. And those are the songs I ended up choosing and playing, and, you know, and got to jam with some cool cats, man. Got to jam with some really cool cats, you know.
Nous prenons la route et nous rendons à 25 km de là, dans le centre de Seattle, dans un incroyable magasin non loin des quais d'embarquement des ferries de l'Elliott Bay. On est chez Emerald City Guitars. C'est un peu le fief d'Ayron. Et on le comprend quand on voit les modèles vintage exposés. Un vrai musée. Il y avait d'ailleurs enregistré une version acoustique de Take Me Away en pleine période pandémique.
The first time I really got to, you know, involved with the Hendrix family would have been back in 2000, and I want to say it was about 10 or 11. And I was playing down at a place called Escada Bistro, which is a little small bar / bistro down in Queen Anne here in Seattle. But it was owned by former Supersonic Sean Kemp and a cat named Troy Wright, who was at one point married to Jimi Hendrix and also one of the proprietors of Jimmy's estate, and they also had kids together. And so me and Troy's son Austin became real close, and just being able to be at that place all the time, and so that's what got me in with the Hendrix family. And then from that, that relationship has bloomed and blossomed, and we remain really, really good friends today.
Well, she's walking through the clouds with a circus mind that's running wild. Butterflies, zebras, and moonbeams.
But that's what got me kind of in the mode, man. Started in being able to travel and do things. Austin had got a job with WB. He was working with Janelle Monáe, and there was a group that she was working with under her label Wonderland. It was called Deep Cotton, which is kind of a poppy punk band associated with her label. And they were looking for a guitar player, and they called me up, and that's how I got started, man. My first tour was with Janelle Monáe in a band called Fun, but that's what inspired me to be an artist. And from that point forward, I went on, and they actually even called me. They called me one day to ask me to come be their guitar player, and wanted me to fly me into Atlanta to be their full-time player. And I remember that moment. I said no, so that I could become an artist on my own and develop myself. And luckily it paid off. But that's how it started.
Nous poursuivons notre conversation sur l'héritage de Hendrix et sur le fait d'assumer avoir intégré son influence dans son jeu et ses compositions.
It's 100% deliberate, even, even back when me and Austin first started working together, I started to develop this thumb over style that Hendrix used, because for me, that's the ultimate three-piece player, man. A cat who can play, the rhythm and the solos and all that at the same time. That's how you hold down a three-piece. It's really hard to be able to do that. And so being obsessed with three-piece bands, I at the time really took that upon myself to learn that style, and so all those things just became a part of my being, my identity as a guitar player. So those are definitely direct influences from Jimi Hendrix for sure.
Passionné par les trios, mais c'est finalement à 4 qu'il a trouvé le bon équilibre en groupe.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have another guitar player, just because it's allowed me to focus more a lot on the singing. And the band I'm touring with right now, they are great dudes. I've been with these dudes for a long time. Our drummer's probably the newest member, but he fits in as like he's been there for 20 years. You know what I mean? So, and we're brothers. At the end of the day, it's like we've been on the road now together for 3 years straight. We've been through a lot of different things. We've been sick together. We've played shows together. We've slept on airport floors because we had to. We've done a lot together, man. And so I think that is the biggest. I don't know. That's our biggest asset, is that we're friends, and we're able to work together and put our energy into this music and realize the bigger purpose behind the music together. My bass player is from Seattle. Originally, when I first started the project, it was all about Seattle kids, man. But as I've expanded nationally and internationally, I've picked up some cats from different parts. And my drummer comes from San Diego. My guitar player comes from Florida.
Ayron entretient depuis des années une relation étroite avec la France. Comment explique-t-il ces liens privilégiés?
You know, I've spoken about this in the past about the relationship between France and Black American artists, and for poets to filmmakers to musicians, and Paris and France as a whole tend to pick up and take hold of Black American artists before America has in the past, you know, and so I think there's just kind of like this lineage that happens, and I think when the French people see that and they feel that, you know, me coming from a place of classic rock and coming from a place of, you know, genuine artistry, and to me the French culture is all about artistry, even the way you talk and the way you move, everything's is poetry in motion, you know, and so I think that the French have a heightened awareness when it comes to the arts, and I think that part of our relationship comes from that, you know, just being able to be recognized and seen. Whereas in America, there's a checkered history and past when it comes to race relations and things like that. And sometimes it can take a little longer for the American audience to pick up on something that, especially when they don't know where to find it, right? You know, I think most Black American artists, they think hip hop or R&B or soul music, you know, and so to be a Black rock artist in America right now, it's maybe a little hard to be seen. Whereas I think the French audience don't kind of have those same blinders on when it comes to art, and they've been some of the first people to jump on, say Marvin Van Peebles, for instance, you know, like they've been some of the first people to grab a hold and to nurture and take care of these artists where they didn't have a home before, you know. So I think that that's kind of part of the lineage that I'm following into, and part of our relationship is a continuation of that, you know.
Le 6 novembre, date du concert parisien, l'Amérique aura choisi qui sera à la Maison Blanche pour les 4 prochaines années. Blackstone Cherry et lui viennent d'États américains aux couleurs politiques très différentes. La question d'idéologie peut-elle intervenir quand on est en tournée?
We're from really different backgrounds too. You know, I come from a very left-leaning place. They come from a very right-leaning place in Kentucky. You know, yeah. Well, the thing about musicians is this, man. I've played with cats that I think some people would consider deplorable, you know, in terms of their politics and all that. You know, I've toured with Aaron Lewis and, you know, worked with Stained, and I've toured with, some cats that are very politically on a different spectrum. Coetzel and his crew, they all come from a different political background. But I think people would be surprised to realize how comfortable I am around those people and how okay I am with those people, because as an artist, I don't look at them like that. I don't look at them from their political views or anything like that. I look at them as these people with the same goal in mind. And their goal is to touch and reach people with their music, because music, it supersedes all these realms. Wait, man, in America, when I was coming up, man, we were always taught it's okay to disagree with your neighbor. You know, you can still share a beer. I mean, we still do this too, by the way. Like, as polarized as people think we are, I don't know if people realize, like, the camaraderie that we have here in this country, you know? And it's unrivaled anywhere else. I'm being really honest here. From France to Germany to anywhere else, if you are politically separated from your neighbor, you are less likely to talk to them or associate yourself with them in any other country. In America, that doesn't exist, man. You know what I mean? If somebody flips their car on the side of the road right now, you're not going to walk up and go, "Hey, man, who'd you vote for?" You know, you're going to pull them out that car, man, because that's your countryman, that's your person, you know, and that's a human being first and foremost, you know. But like that's what America's about. We're not about this political thing. That's a new thing for us, man. That's a new thing, and I mean, you could blame Donald Trump for a lot of that. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that, but this new breed of politics, which is like, oh, I need to hate you because you don't think what I think, man. That's authoritarianism, you know. I don't think there's a place for much of that in the world.
Ayron se retrouve donc plus de 55 ans après le dernier concert parisien de Jimi Hendrix sur cette même scène de l'Olympia.
It occurs to me that that's happening. I don't know that it's one of those things I've processed and thought to myself, like, this is happening, you know, because even while you know I'm following my own journey, it just kind of happens to follow suit in parallel the journey of another Seattle great guitar player, you know, and so but it does occur to me that's definitely the case, and I'm only hoping to pay tribute, man. That's all I'm ever doing as an artist, man. I'm trying to pay tribute to the great artists before me, and so that is what I have on my mind going into Olympia, is to make sure to pay tribute to the great artist that is Jimi Hendrix, man.
Et pour patienter, n'hésitez pas à écouter la reprise de American Horse de The Cult que Blackstone Cherry vient tout juste de publier avec Ayron Jones et John Cooper de Skillet. Voilà, METALXS, c'est terminé pour aujourd'hui. On se retrouve dans 15 jours pour un nouveau numéro avec toujours plus d'interviews, de surprises et de contenus inédits. Un immense merci pour votre fidélité et n'oubliez pas de prolonger l'expérience métal sur riffix.fr. Salut!